Bitchy, you're very welcome. Hit the wee follow buttons if you so choose. If free, you've got nothing to lose. It's that time of the week. It's Wanker of the Week. And this week's Wanker is none other than little Little Lord Shaftsbury, the English owner of Lough. Now, before somebody jumps in and sends a comment saying he's not a lord, he's an earl, I know that. I just like calling him Little Lord Shaftsbury, right? Because Little Lord Fauntleroy. I like it. It's my choice. I know what he is. So Little Lord Nicholas has finally given an interview explaining his position on the disgraceful state of Lough. But before we get to that, I think it's important to give a bit of overall context just about how Nicky's been able to claim ownership of the Lough in the first place. Now, this here book, Jonathan Barden, right? The Plantation of Ulster, brilliant book. If you want any interest in local history, this is the O'Cahans, the O'Kanes, we're all in there. I'll do a separate video about that. But very, very, very interesting. And in this book, we learned that in 1597, John Chichester, who was then governor of Carrickfergus, well, John took a rush of blood to the head. He took a rush of blood to the head. And John decided to go out and give the MacDonald clan a good old kicking. Didn't end well for John. Did not end well for him. God love him, right? Not only did he lose 200 men, he also lost his head. And I'm not talking about, I can't take this anymore. No, I'm talking about he lost his head. It was sent as a trophy to the Earl of Tyrone, where his men used it as a football before burning it. It's not on. That's not good. Anyway. Now, John had a brother called Arthur. Now, Arthur Chichester was not amused at the treatment of his brother, so he rushed across to Ireland to avenge his fallen sibling. And I tell you what, Arthur was no softy. Arthur done very well. Arthur managed to poison the Earl of Tyrone, who took a head, right, before laying waste to the whole of Ulster. He even used famine as a weapon of war. This child was ahead of his time. This child was well ahead of his time. Arthur was so ruthless in subjugating the locals that much of South Antrim and North Down was depopulated. There was nobody there. He killed everybody. Today we call that ethnic cleansing. Back in 1603, it was called victory. Victory! And King James I, who instigated the whole plantation stuff, well, he was so pleased with his psycho Arthur that he gifted him not only the castle of Belfast, right? He also given the government of Carrickfergus and all of the commands and forts in between in that district, along with Lough. This is an important point. He gifted it to him. Take that, son. That's for you. That's for you, son. No, take that. No, you're a good fella. No money changed hands. Do you understand? No money changed hands. So, ownership of the Lough remained with the Chichester family for centuries. It finally was transferred through marriage after the daughter of the 3rd Marquess of Donegal to the 8th Earl of Shaftesbury in around the 18th century. Now, here, for fairness, and you have to be fair, it's fair to point out that the Shaftesbury family have no connection with the plantation of Ulster. They have no blood in their hands in any way, shape, or form. They don't even appear in this book. They've nothing to do with it. They just happen to get it through marriage. And that's how Little Lord Shaftsbury came into ownership of the Lough. After, oh God, I forgot that bit. Only after his father was murdered by his wife and his brother died of a heart attack, but that's a whole different video. That's a whole different video. Nicky himself, Nicholas, Little Lord Shaftsbury, well, he's an interesting character. He was, of course, born with a silver spoon up his arse, and after having finished public school, Nicky decided, I don't want to work. I'm not going to work. I don't like work. So Nicky bulged off to New York, where he worked as a DJ and a club owner. And then, of course, the ancestral seat fell in his lap, and he buggered back to rural England as quick as can be. And here's an interesting point. The Shaftsbury family only own the bed of Lough, right? And would you believe, back in the 1970s, the Shaftsbury estate had the gall to attempt to levy a charge on the drinking water being extracted from the Lough for us plebs. And would you believe even more, it's amazing, there was a government installment at that time. Bit of a balls up, but there was a government. And they told him, get this, on your beak. Now, if nothing else, that should act as a benchmark if we ever get a government back here at any time in the future. So that's us up to date with the, we're now at the stage, we've got an algae bloom which is choking the Lough to death. and growing calls for little Nicholas Lord Shaftsbury to do the decent thing and just hand it back, gift it back to the people. And Nicky, however, seems to have no intention of doing that, as according to Nicky, questions around his ownership are all down to political interference. And more so, Nicky's no responsibility for anything.
The situation with the sale is one that's been born out of an understanding that my ownership has always been quite divisive and very political. I often get blamed for things that are completely outside of my control.
It's what I don't understand. He's no responsibility. I have a house with a hedge going onto the street, right? Now, see if I don't cut my hedge and the branches come out and hit somebody in the beak, I'm going to get sued for that. How is it then that Nicholas feels no responsibility for having earned a fortune from the extraction of millions of tons of sand from the bottom of the Lough, with no real research having been done into the ecological damage that is caused? I don't know. But, be fair, Jake, be fair. Nicholas seemingly wants to do the right thing.
And I always want to do the right thing by the people living here and what's in the best interest of the Lough.
So he's going to stop handling stolen goods and give the Lough back then? Is that what's going to... I know he's going to say that next.
I think I would just like to be treated as any other business owner. The business has a value, and I think if we were to get into a conversation about ownership, then that would be taken into account of.
Hold on here, son. Hold on here. You're a business owner? You want to be treated like an ordinary business? All right. You want to be a business owner? Let's see your purchase invoice or bill of sale for the Lough. All right, here's a better idea, Nicky. What do you say we pay you what was paid for the Lough in the first place, which is nothing? Do you understand? What do you say we give you what was paid for the Lough at the very start? Do you know what? The best way I've seen this summed up, someone sent me this cartoon, right? Which brilliantly explains the reality where we are regarding absentee English landlords continuing to claim ownership over, let's be honest about it, war booty or stolen goods. So what you have is you have the landlord on the left-hand side and you got the paddies on the right-hand side, right? And the landlord says, "Get off this estate!" Paddy, "What for?" "Because it's mine." "Where did you get it?" "From my father." "And where did he get it?" "From his father." "And where did his father get it?" "He fought for it." "Well, we'll fight you for it." Isn't that brilliant? Isn't that the way? That gave me an idea. This gave me an idea. Because what's usually happened over the centuries is the paddies would rise up and try to get rid of the landlords and get their arses kicked, right? That's really what's happened over the years. But at least to give the landlords a bit of credit, they made an effort. You know what I mean? They had a wee fair dig. And whereas Nicky, what's Nicky done? Nicky has done nothing. He doesn't scratch his arse. He's over there in his wee mansion. Comes over here for an interview, buggers back to his wee mansion. So I have the idea. And you can do this with the English aristocracy, seemingly. I throw down a challenge to Little Lord Shaftsbury for a fair dig. Me and you, fair dig. You choose what you want. Bare knuckle, cage fight, even Queensberry rules. Come on, Nicky. Come on, son. I'm twice your age. I have a broken back. You can't lose. You can't lose. We can do it for charity. We'll do it for charity and raise a few quid. And you know what, Nicky? Win or lose, you get to keep the Lough, but at least at the end of the day, you can look us locals in the eye, knowing you've at least fought for what you never owned.
That's all, folks.